Region.com. We're back with another Morning Joint podcast, episode 103. Today, coming with you guys coast to coast, man. It's the dirty South, man. We got Georgia Market President Judson Hill in the building, man. Judson, good morning from Los Angeles. How are you today, sir?
Good morning from Georgia. We're down here in South Georgia at our facility, growing some legal cannabis, which is pretty sweet. So
Crazy.
great. Yes, sir.
I remember a couple years ago, I think I started seeing this woman in Georgia doing some normal stuff. I don't know if it was normal or maybe she was just doing her own advocational work. Point being, really enjoyed the passion, the desire for knowledge. There's energy there. People are excited. You guys are at this infancy.
Yeah, I mean, I guess for me, obviously born and raised in Atlanta, so I've known that we've had a cannabis enthusiast here in Georgia for a long time. Been out in California then the last 12 years, kind of learning the actual legal side of the industry. And it's sweet to be involved here at the ground level of the Georgia market, where it is very medical right now. So it was a pretty big leap for me moving back from SoCal to Atlanta earlier this year. Right now, it's more just getting out the word that Georgia does have a program. There's only about 20,000 people in the program in terms of patients. So that's kind of the issue that we face is Georgia has 11 million people as a whole. Atlanta is the sixth biggest city in the country. But currently, we're only working with 20,000 patients. So right now, it's all about awareness and kind of educating people how you can get a card and why they should have a card versus people are currently trained to, buy their cannabis in the streets or, a lot of people are shopping at the CBD hemp shops buying Delta 8, Delta 9, or as you and I probably know, a lot of stuff that's just California products sold out the back door and ends up in your CBD and smoke shop. So that's
shout out the world of spray packs. Spray packs, man. Yeah, no, first off, I think it's exciting that what you guys are doing, right? Fine Fettle, it's a vertically integrated business for you guys. You guys cultivate. You're at the facility now. You guys have retail. You guys are operational in a couple states, Georgia being your newest one, Connecticut and Mass being the other two.
Yes, sir.
I believe I've known you 3 to 4 years now. Maybe even 5. It's hard to say because everything's a blur over here in California with how much change and now across the rest of the country, right? So you guys are focused on emerging markets. Tell me a little bit about Fine Fettle, why you're involved, why you're so passionate about pushing this project that direction.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, Fine Fettle is based out of Connecticut. And like you said, the strategy for our business is really be a first mover in these new or emerging markets. Our founders are, local to Connecticut. Have been involved in the industry there for a while, both in terms of investing in different businesses and really supporting a lot of the philanthropic side around the medical markets, people on opioids finding cannabis as harm reduction and things like that. So really a genuine reason for entering the market. They got involved early in Connecticut in the medical side. And then obviously kind of the go-to blueprint is you get in early in medical, you become the first mover. And then when it flips to rec, you're clearly in a great position. So that's what happened for them in Connecticut, where we have about 25% of the market share from a retail perspective. And then we've continued to kind of go into these limited license emerging states and really just do the hard work, I guess, of getting the word out, where a lot of people think, hey, you have a limited license, it's easy. Again, we got 20,000 patients. So there's kind of pros and cons. We're only working against so many other operators, but we're also kind of building the patient base and getting out the message from scratch.
Yeah.
While we're fighting politicians and all the stigma around cannabis in the South. So I think, pros and cons, but you put in the hard work, and clearly if we're the first mover in the market, we're in a good position here in Georgia.
And the state, I feel like when you're in these early early days, early months, early years of the markets, the state actually starts to lean on you a little bit and rely on your guys' expertise and guidance and support. Obviously, they're trying to make intelligent business, data-driven decisions for what they believe is right for their structures and systems. But it does take going back and forth to some extent and working closely with each other. What has that been like with you guys working with Georgia's, the government and things like that? I know that's a little bit of your background and helping push things the right direction. And forgive me too, I believe there's a little bit of family history with like just Georgia's overall politics.
Yeah, so a lot of points there, but you are correct. I mean, why I was excited to join Fine Fettle, and again, I mean, move back to Atlanta when otherwise I was comfortable out in SoCal, is I think it's a once in a lifetime opportunity to, be a part of the movement in my hometown.
Mm-hmm.
And there's people for us and that need access to the medicine. I mean, the program in Georgia has been around in part since 2015. So clearly the patients are waiting, but you need to, I guess, have that inside track to know what message to communicate with the legislators and how we can actually make changes. Where my dad was a 15-year state senator here in Georgia, so I kind of had that unique point of view of following him while his focus was healthcare while he was in office. So obviously medical cannabis came under that. He was definitely not a proponent of it at first, but that's how you got to win people over, one by one. So it's funny, when I got in the industry 8 years ago out in California, we have the same name. He was basically like, yo, do you over there, and don't connect me to that. Now we're actually working together to try and progress the program. But also, like you were saying, the GMCC, I mean, shout out to the regulators. You rarely hear that, but the Georgia Medical Cannabis Commission has been super collaborative and great to work with here in Georgia, because to your point, they're really learning from us as the operators. We're between, my whole team coming from Connecticut, Massachusetts, me coming from California. We all have collectively tons more cannabis experience than anyone in Georgia from the legal side. So they're really leaning on us of, what does a good operation look like? I'm here in our facility right now, kind of walking them through track and trace, walking them through best practices. And then exciting part, we just finally opened our first dispensary last Friday. So now we actually get to make some sales, and then, working with them on, what a dispensary looks like and kind of how
Yeah.
the consumer gets the product.
That's huge, right? Like learning on both sides and being able to create a good industry, a good culture, good foundation. And I think that's exciting because, 8 years over here in California, you've definitely seen the good, bad, and the ugly, and some successes, right?
Yep.
What do you feel? What are you most excited about when it comes to Georgia? Obviously, the opportunity, right? 20,000 people in a state of 11 million. That's a lot of growth there.
Yep.
But what are you really most excited about when it comes to the plant and getting it connected to these people?
Yeah, I mean, I guess there's my personal bias, just being from here. It's meaningful work to get legal access to cannabis in Georgia. And then, like I said, the patients have, it's kind of been this chicken or the egg thing, where unfortunately the Georgia program was tied up in lawsuits, as most states are, when whatever they issued the 6 licenses, everyone that lost sued. We beat those lawsuits 40 times over, because whether it's cannabis or anything, you can't just be giving out participation trophies as the government. So long story short is, like, patients have been getting cards, waiting for access for about 5 or 6 years, but there was no stores. So it really was exciting on Friday to see, like, we have, advocates we partner with, veterans that have PTSD. A lot of the people that made early movement in the Georgia program was, families of children with epilepsy, different conditions, where, those types of things you really can't argue with. And while, I'm sure we all like to talk about smoking flower and the recreational side of things, like, the most important thing, it's really been cool for me because I've been working more in rec markets, is to see these people that, like, really need this medicine and have been waiting.
Absolutely.
Super powerful. And obviously, that is the first stepping stone to build on the medical program and eventually be able to spread. I believe everyone should have access, depending on, you don't need to be on your deathbed to need cannabis, but at the least we should be able to get the severe patients access. And then in doing so, and as the politicians and everyone can see that it doesn't, light the world on fire, and it's actually doing good, we can kind of progress the program and get to, a cooler future state.
What's funny is I've been watching the sessions and trap markets, and a lot of rap culture and hip hop culture really take a pretty strong foothold there in Georgia. And there's a strong music community. There's a lot of events. There's a ton of people. It's very diverse. There's a very strong history there, and so I'm pretty excited about being able to provide safe cannabis to people. I'm a patient myself in a lot of ways. I've had kidney stones numerous times in my life, IBS, all the good stuff inside of my body. And I can only imagine what it's like for people that suffer like me there, and what it's going to be like to get that kind of relief every day and to see overall productivity. I know in places like Colorado, they use a lot of that money for teachers and education. I'm excited for that kind of stuff to happen there in Georgia over time. I want to talk a little bit about the dispensary, though. I love retail. I love data and all that good products. I just like spending money in dispensaries. We just like shopping.
Come out anytime.
You
We
know,
have some reciprocity on the medical side, so come
I
to our stores.
I love it. I love it. I'll definitely have to take you up on that. I want to know what people walk into Fine Fettle now. It's a beautiful space. What are they going to find on the shelves? I'm a medical patient. What are they going to find on your guys' shelves today since you guys opened recently?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question, and part of the whole changing the laws, because in these limited medical markets, it's not only limited in what qualifies someone as a patient, but in what they can sell. So right now, I'm in our facility. We grow real fire flower. Period. I think that's like what we need to get out to the world. It's not
So you said real fire flower, like you stand
Yeah,
on that.
I stand on it. Like
Yes.
I'll show you. But to answer your question, then we can't actually sell the flower, unfortunately. So right now it's all products where I don't know if you know this guy, Tyler Cook. He's actually from the California industry. He was with Nug back in the day,
Okay.
but he's our head of product. And point being, like, we brought people, and what I'm excited about Georgia is like doing it right here from the lessons learned in the other states and being able to bring in super talented people from other markets. So for example, he's coming in, we process everything into oil. So it's the first time I've ever seen a harvest where you have all the fire flower, but no nugs at the end of the day. We take it down to oil. We have like a BHO extraction right here. I could even walk over and show you.
So
And
you
then
guys
we
are
take
making
it,
some resins and some disty and things like that.
we're taking it even a step further where since we have to make all finished products, Tyler and the team, they're doing all nano emulsion. So I'm sure you're familiar with nano as like,
Yep.
what more people are doing in the beverage space now, what really has the most rapid onset. And point being, like, we take this whole cultivation and it turns into just a jar of powder, which is either cool or interesting depending on how you think about it. But it really makes the cannabis more of an ingredient. And then, long way of answering, we can do certain edibles. We have limitations around how we can market them, but we can essentially do like a soft chew, which might equate to a gummy. Um, 10 milligram, 20 milligrams. So we can do cool products like that. We can do tinctures. We have
Hmm.
topicals. I also am a patient through a car crash I got in back in the day and have pretty lingering back effects. So we have like a fire balm that we've made here, but more medical products.
I know you're a drink guy. I know you love your non-alcoholic beverages.
Yes,
Any
sir.
any plans for beverages there in the future?
Definitely want to do beverages down, and beverages kind of an interesting opportunity because obviously a lot of people have gone into the hemp route.
Hmm.
So for immediates, we are doing kind of like a Mio drink additive,
Hmm.
which is fire. And again, like you said, I'm not drinking alcohol, but I love all like the hemp and NA beverages. So basically, you can make anything cannabis infused with that. And
Love it.
then we have thought about, do we want to potentially launch some products into other categories with the drinks and really just get our name out here in Georgia as, the trusted medical cannabis supplier. Because again, the biggest issue, or one of the big issues we're facing here in Georgia, is since there's the proliferation of all these hemp products, which some I totally like and support how people are doing things, and some it's just a fugazi to sell untested or failed shit through these CBD shops.
Yeah.
Like, so there was a law passed in Georgia that's going to be shutting that down. And a lot of this is kind of like educating people on what we're doing differently because the average consumer here doesn't know the difference of what does medical cannabis mean versus what is this Delta 9 hemp product that I'm getting at the CBD shop.
Yeah.
So we're kind of working around that while trying to do some really cool products that, to the nano point, have some really great effects, which is the key differentiator of us versus the other two groups up and running. Frankly, I don't think they have the same quality cannabis input or like the final product as well, because we're making it that nano grade powder.
Yep. I think that's huge, right? Like, there's just general products, right? Flour, vapes, edibles, right? And the 10 milligrams of disti in it, or what, or some live resin. But when you really take it to that additional layer of, how it's going to interact with the body, and that nano emulsification, for a lot of people suffering pain right now that are going to throw up in that 45-minute onset period from a regular edible.
Yep.
We really just need the science behind it. So I can appreciate you guys and for what you guys are doing in that regard. Quality inputs equals quality results in a lot of instances. So big shout out to your guys' team for that, and Tyler and the squad. I would love for you to show us around a little bit if you have some time. I think that'd be super cool opportunity for us to kind of transition to people actually seeing cannabis grown in the peach state, right?
Sure. Well, I'm over here in our extraction lab right now, so got my coat on. I actually might need to grab my hairnet depending on where we go.
Yep.
But yeah, no, I thought it'd be super cool. Like you said, for people to actually see, we have 50,000 square feet of canopy we're allowed to grow here.
Wow.
So again, with only 20,000 patients, we're not cultivating in all of that. And then we process all that down into oil. So as you can see right here, we got some of the lab going, got some of the ovens. I'm sure anyone out in the California market or other more mature markets is familiar there. And then
the ovens, for people that are unfamiliar, are used to remove the solvents and kind of cook those out, some of those things, and then also too to kind of, like, I believe, doesn't it kind of dry out or some of the extracts in the Pyrex containers or on like the sheets?
Exactly. So like this is taking distillation down right now, and then you take that oil and then, like you said, put it in the oven to create more of your shatters, batters, waxes, things of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
Which then again we're taking a step further, and then we do that final nano process. But yeah, the fact that we've got this legal facility here in Georgia, I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, when I look, in the areas around you and behind you, this looks like so many facilities that I've seen where people are really, you've got these perfect rooms, and so now you're talking about, this is your extraction room, and
Yeah,
I can see it's blast proof as required, right?
Yeah.
Look at that beautiful machine.
Proof.
That's I know. Don't tell me the name of it. I know the name of it. Is that I can't see the logo. Is that Eden? It is Eden.
Yeah, ETS. We got. So they're blasting over here. Just like any cannabis facility you see in a mature market. So it's pretty cool to see in Georgia. The facility here is like a few acres indoors. So to get over to where the cultivation is, it might be a minute, but at least wanted to show y'all up here.
That's perfect. No, I appreciate it. I went to this grow one time. They actually had scooters indoor. They had electric scooters. It was so long. It was so funny. It was like, when you walk up to those certain corners in various streets, and it's like there's 57 scooters. Like, you walked into their facility and they had like 6 of them all chilling there so they could get to all their rooms faster. It was so funny. So Fine Fettle, you guys are operating in Connecticut and Mass. You guys are now operational in Georgia. You guys like to be early market entrants, first market adopters, and kind of help build them out, provide a good structure and foundation for patients. What do you feel is, with Georgia only having 20,000 patients there, what do you feel, the state should do to help grow that and increase that? Because we have seen the medical markets crash and fall and be suffocated right out of existence in these other markets. So what is your thoughts on how to grow that properly in Georgia? Because this is not 2012. This is not 2018. This is 2024. It's a whole different world than it used to be.
Yeah, no, it's kind of, I don't want to simplify it to twofold, but there's what can we actually do within our control right now, then there's what do we need to help, the government make changes on eventually down the line. So right now, the program is what it is until Georgia goes back into legislative session next year. We just opened Smyrna, which is, that was dope. in Metro Atlanta, I guess, for people that aren't local. So Smyrna's on the west side of Atlanta. We're opening Decatur, which some people may know from some hip hop songs, but that's East Atlanta. So basically, we got the two sides of the city covered by the end of the month, and then we'll be opening in Athens next month, which is where UGA is. So that'll be bomb with the football season. Obviously, it's a medical program, so not everyone can come shop, but just like getting the word out and driving people to our stores, because we'll be the only store in Athens, and basically.
Wow.
Everyone in Georgia goes out to Athens on Saturdays during the fall for football. So I guess what we can do is like we're going to be at all the local events, tailgates, farmers markets, just spreading the word. Because again, you pull the audience of random people in Georgia, they don't even know we have a medical cannabis program.
Yeah.
In terms of how easy it is from a process standpoint to get a card, it's all telemedicine. So we just need to get the word out. Like you could scan a QR code, book an appointment with a doctor, and if you have one of the qualifying conditions, that's all done virtually over a telemedicine appointment. So a lot easier than some people may think. And then a pretty meaningful change in the law from last session was now the cards will be mailed or emailed to you. Where historically, you had to go track down wherever the local Department of Health is, which like, who knows, just elongating the process and basically then making it as hard as possible for you to actually get your card and go shop. It's starting to get simpler. So that's kind of what we're doing in the immediate. And then in terms of like long-term legislative and government affairs type goals, Georgia goes into session every year, January through March, essentially. So we have to wait till next year. In the meantime, we need to put together kind of our ideal changes of what's actually possible. So right now, it's like expanding the medical program to allow more products. Eventually, it'd be great to be able to sell vape flower, because I mean, you have these other states where it's not like we need to recreate the wheel at this point. Like Florida, they started as a low THC oil program like us in 2015. Then they went to a true medical. Then they added vape. Then they added flower, and now I'd love to be in Florida's position. They got almost 1 million medical patients in there, on the ballot to go rec in the fall. Yep. So kind of just repeat the blueprint there of like, at the end of the day, there's only so many patients that are going to get in until we can add those other product categories. So like, we're not going to sit around and just complain and wait until then. We got to get the initial patients, which are more cannabis curious, people with real medical ailments that, are happy to have a tincture or a gummy or a topical. Mm-hmm. And then, the flower folks are obviously going to keep finding their flower wherever they get it. And eventually it'll be great. Like we have this whole facility, sell them quality, tested, safe product grown here in Georgia is the goal. But that might be, a year or 2 or 3, depending on how quick we can.
But either way, the fact that that's still like, that's the pathway, right? Like we're inching closer and closer to the direction we want to be in and to the points where we want to be at. Right. And that's all we can ask for is progress towards that, right? Progress for the patients. There's that quote, right? Weed for the people. You guys are getting weed to the people, and it's finally happening. So big respect to you guys. Can you just go ahead, just because I am unfamiliar with those cities that you named? I heard Athens, where UGA is, Smyrna, which is on the west side of the city, and then East Atlanta is Decatur, correct?
Decatur, where it's greater.
Decatur, where it's greater. I love it. So, you guys are going to be serving these 3 major areas. That's super exciting. With you being the Georgia market president, what are you specifically working on to right at this moment in terms of like, you just got this dispensary launched. Now you got these products there. You got another one coming. What's to come? What can people expect from the group and over the next couple months?
Yeah, I mean, I guess like you said, I'm kind of more just the composer. I have a great team. Like we got the cultivation team here. We got the product team making the product. Then we have our retail team. So I'm really just trying to keep everything in coordination of, making sure we have the right products available and go through all the, necessary steps to open the store. Where, I mean, between opening the first cannabis stores in Georgia and just opening a dispensary in general, there's a lot of red tape and what have you. So my main focus has been get these 3 stores open off the ground. And then from there, it's more adding patients and start to put that legislative agenda together where the government affairs side of things is really a key element of my personal job. Getting champions within the legislature on our team. So we have to bring, people to our facility, show them what we're doing, and kind of demystify the stigma that they have around cannabis. And now that we have stores open, we have a state-of-the-art facility. It's really just getting people familiar with it so that when they
Yeah.
head back to session in January, they're like, yo, I went down to Macon. I saw the facility. These guys are really doing it right. I saw the patients that they're helping. There's veterans out there been waiting to get off of, all the opioids and things they've been hooked up to. They found cannabis. Now they have legal access. So it's more of kind of that overall awareness campaign while, just doing like the legwork of opening what's hopefully 6 stores here over the next year. We're allowed to open 5 out of the gate is how the regulations work. So we got those 3 I mentioned, then we got another 2 in construction, and then it's kind of interesting framework. But as new patients come in the program, we're allowed to open more stores. So every 10,000 patients, we get another store, and then it's essentially like Florida at that point, where we could have almost an unlimited chain of dispensaries as long as we're adding every 10,000 patients into the program, we get a new store.
Oh wow, that's really unique. That's definitely an interesting framework, and especially over time as that gets closer and closer towards adult use, right?
Yeah, I mean, we should have a nice little chain of dispensaries by the time we get to that point. So our goal is to make sure that Fine Fettle is really the first name that people know for safe, legal cannabis in the state of Georgia, and then we kind of just progress the program with there.
Fine Fettle, y'all. Y'all better check in, man. You got Judson Hill, Georgia market president. Fine Fettle, the first group in Georgia to actually be putting out quality, safe, accurate products, man. Cannabis in the building in the peach state. I can't wait till I actually get to smoke some peach rings or I can't wait for the peach this and the Georgia that coming, man. Think about all this local
You
creativity.
got to come down to the A.
Oh man, I'm so excited. This is gonna be great, man. And then the music.
We got cannabis here in Atlanta, if you didn't know.
Come on, man. Judson, one thing that I really appreciate about you is that, you have a unique background, right? Your family has done some really cool things. You've taken your own path and been successful in many ways in your own right. We frequently see each other. I come from such a different background compared to you, and yet we frequent some of the same circles, and it's all in the upper echelon of cannabis. And one thing I really appreciate about you is your desire to really 2 things. One, I can tell you really enjoy what you do and that you care. And the second part of that is I really also want to double down on that and say, I can tell when you care about the things that you care about because you go do that and then you champion that. And for you to be in SoCal last year when I was talking with you, and then to see you get into the Georgia game and do this. And then now, we're March, April, we're already in July, and to see you sitting there in a lab coat in this facility and to walk around and I saw stuff spinning back there. It's just like, man, when you really care about something, this guy got up and did it. And I really have a lot of respect for that. And so I really appreciate you being here with us today, Judson, and just, helping demystify Georgia cannabis for Georgia, by Georgia. Shout out to the fam and on all of your guys' network and connections to help push us, just a direction of progress and closer and closer towards whatever it can be whenever it becomes great. Because 20,000 yet, it's small, but that seed, that root is starting to grow, and it's going to grow into something great. 11 million people there of greatness one day, right? So we've talked about a lot today. Do you want to share anything else with the people before we get you out of here? Is there anything you want to drop for them?
No, I mean, I appreciate the kind words. It's easy for me. I mean, I love cannabis. I believe in access to cannabis, and I feel the same about Atlanta. So really just spread the word about our program, allow people to sign up. You could go to our website, click get your card, set up an appointment with a doctor, and then come shop at our stores. So
reciprocity exists there, correct?
Yes, sir. So you're allowed 45 days with a card from another state. So as long as you come in, you're visiting, you could come up to our stores, show a legitimate medical cannabis card, and we'd love to have you around as well. So
that's so cool. So a little bit of tourism can still happen in the medical side. I love it, man.
Yeah, we got things popping in Atlanta, so people definitely come through. You could hit me up on LinkedIn. I'm easy to find. Definitely get back to people. Would love to show anyone our facility here in Macon that comes through. So we're really an open door and just trying to tell people about what we're doing and like you said, demystify cannabis here in Georgia and just get everyone access to legal product that's safe, because clearly people are smoking here. So That's nothing new in Atlanta.
Now, for everybody, for those of you guys that are watching or that see this episode, one thing that's really important that you guys got to recognize is that it's easy to support and it's free. You don't have to fly there and do this to support Fine Fettle or to support Judson. So if you're one of Judson's homies, if you're one of my homies, or if you're an RMR fan, or if you see this on Google or YouTube or some shit, just know that one of the greatest things you guys can do right now is just to help create awareness about specific things. And so if you guys see content from Judson or I, specifically about Georgia, please repost, comment, like, share, and just help us reach more people. Right now, it's really imperative that we create awareness to specific people that need medical cannabis there in Georgia and surrounding Georgia because of the reciprocity. So if you're someone who's sick, if you have family who's sick, if you just believe that there's sick people out there and that cannabis can help, please comment, like, share, follow, repost, and do your part to just help create awareness for the people that might need it. It's a real deal, man. Kidney stones, cancer. There's another study that just was put out there for women's their orgasmic disorder. Some of these states are approving different things, and so we really just want ultimately more access and more conditions for people to be able to use this medicine. So, Judson, thank you again. Appreciate y'all. So to 103, everybody, make sure you can add Judson and find him on LinkedIn, Judson space Hill spelled Hill. And of course, go find and follow Fine Fettle. They are available on all social medias. I've found them. I've seen it. I can confirm they're all over the place. Judson.
Fine Fettle GA.
Come on, man. Happy Monday.
Yes, sir.
From LA to GA. I hope you have a great rest of your week. And please continue doing the good stuff, man. Thank you so much for being here with us today.
Get it. Have a great week.
Everybody, today's episode was brought to you guys by RMR Legacy Smalls. Here's the packaging. If you're in California, go buy it, go check it out. Hopefully one day we'll be over again on the East Coast. But for now, we're not there. So tap in, like, follow, subscribe. We'll see you all in the next episode. We out.